Good morning, Kensington, and happy 4th of July. Thanks for joining us today. Whether you're in person or online, we're glad that you are here. Just have a couple quick announcements for you before we get started with service. This coming Friday, July 9th, we are doing a movie under the stars. We are going to be having a big screen outside right here on our south lawn. We're going to be watching Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. We're asking that people bring blankets and chairs to sit in, and we'll be making popcorn right here. We do ask that you register for that event at kensingtonchurch.org/CT movie night, just so we can be prepared for what we have for you when you come. Another thing that is going on July 14th, for all of you married couples out there, we are having a date night. There's going to be a food truck, and we're going to be playing trivia, and it's super, super fun. Two of my best friends are hosting it, and they are a good time. They're definitely going to bring all of the laughs, all the jokes. You're going to have so much fun. There's also going to be childcare, which is a super big bonus, right? You do not have to search for your babysitter. You're just going to drop your kids off in the K-Kids area. You're going to come out here, have a good time with your spouse, and that event as well, you do need to register for at kensingtonchurch.org/CT date night. We really hope that you come out and join us for that. Not only do we have church on Sundays, we also do midweeks once a month, and that is going to be coming up on July 21st. Yes, July 21st. And it's from 6 to 7, but at the 6 o'clock part, we're going to be doing a picnic. So again, bring your blankets, bring your chairs. We're asking that you pack yourself a little dinner, come with your friends and your family, come hang out with us. And at 7 o'clock, that will start the worship and the teaching, and it's going to be super fun. We're going to be outside. We're going to enjoy the night. In August, we are having an all-campus baptism, and so that is going to be held at our Troy campus. And so if baptism is something that you have been thinking about and praying about, we do really encourage you to maybe talk to somebody at the hub about what baptism is and what that looks like for you. And if you're ready to take that next step in your spiritual journey, we ask that you also register for that at kensingtonchurch.org/baptisms, and invite your family and your friends and come on out. It's really fun to just celebrate what God is doing in our community as an all-campus event. If you missed anything that I said, I'm just a talking head up here, right? You can go to the hub and ask any questions. They have all this information. If you need help registering for any of the events, they definitely can help you out there. As well as if this is your first time and you're a new first-time attender, they would love to meet you, learn your name, let you know some things we have going on here around Kensington, because as you can tell, there's a whole lot. Today starts the new start of a series, and it's called Shaking the Family Tree, and we're going to be talking about the genealogy of Jesus Christ. And so when you think of that and you read the Bible, you do see and you hear about a lot of men, but we all know that without us women, you men would not be here. So check out this song, and that's what the series is going to be about.
This is a man's world. This is a man's world, but it wouldn't be nothing without a woman or a girl. Man made the car to take us over the road. Man made the train to carry the heavy load. Man made the electric light to take us out of the dark. Man made the bull for the water, like Noah made the ark. This is a man's world, but it wouldn't be nothing
Oh my goodness, can you believe that? In church. Wow. Well, some of you might be asking, rightly so, like, why that song? To start our day in church. And the reason we decided to do that, kind of start with a little fun, that James Brown song, It's a Man's World, is because we're going to be looking at the genealogy of Jesus and zeroing in on 4 people listed in Matthew chapter 1. We're going to zero in on 4 women. And so we thought it'd be great to start with this idea that we have, through almost all history, lived in patriarchal societies where women who have contributed so much, brought so much good, so much newness, so much life, so much everything, kind of get left down in the history books. And yet there we are going to find 4 very important women in the genealogies for the next 4 weeks as we dive into our series, Shaking the Family Tree. So that was fun. A lot of energy there, right? And didn't she do an amazing job, the band? I mean, I just love good music. I love good art. It's just, it brings so much life to us. So something that has become actually very popular over the last number of years is trying to figure out where we came from. So things like 23andMe or Ancestry.com, you can go online and you can actually probably pay some money. I've never done it. You can actually try to figure out, like, who are you related to? Anybody here actually done that? A few of you have done that? About 2 decades ago, someone in my family decided to do it the old-fashioned way, just started digging around and did it for years, researching, finding out newspaper clips, where do we come from, see how far back we could go. And he actually got a tree, and he was doing this artistically, and then as he discovered stuff, he'd put little boxes and names and dates of birth and deaths. And so as this was unfolding, of course, and if you've gone online and done this, what we're hoping for is to find something really cool in our ancestry. Like someone was a great inventor or did some great humanitarian thing, or maybe was a famous leader or a great athlete, or who knows, something really rich and deep that you would be proud of. So in my family tree, we went back a ways. We found out that on my father's side, going back a long time ago, were people that raised horses in Kentucky. I thought that was kind of cool, not something you brag about yet. As we dug deeper, we found a newspaper article from a long time ago about a great uncle of mine who was riding a horse and got thrown off but was connected to the saddle and got dragged and he died. So I got that going for me. That's my big moment. Seriously, there's nothing else there that even remotely interesting. Now, maybe we didn't go back far enough, but anyhow, so genealogies tell us a little bit about our story and where we come from. And in the book of Matthew, and I don't know if when you read the Bible, when you come to genealogies, if you're honest, you just kind of skip it, right? Even those of you that decide to read through the Bible in a year, think about that. January 1st, New Year's resolution, I'm going to read through a Bible in the year. And it always starts in Genesis and Matthew. You're reading usually the Old and New Testament at the same time. Every day it tells you what to read. So New Year's Day, you're all excited about your journey with God. It's going to be a rich year. I'm going to read through the Bible. You turn to Matthew, and this is where it starts. This is the genealogy of Jesus the Messiah, the son of David, the son of Abraham. Abraham was the father of Isaac, Isaac the father of Jacob, Jacob the father of Judah, and his brother is Judah the father of Perez, and Zerah, whose mother was Tamar, Perez the father of Hezron, Hezron the father of Ram. You want me to keep going, don't you? You'd be okay for the next hour if I just kept reading this, right? So there you are looking for a nugget the very first day, January 1st in the Bible, and you're reading this, and you're tempted just to kind of skip it, right? But the reality is that there's a couple things going on here that I think are important. One is, this tells us that this is not a fairy tale. This story, there is real history to this. These names are not made up. If you're making up a story, who bothers to put all that detail in? So it's telling the story of Jesus, but this is where we got to go all the way back to see where he came from, the human side of Jesus, who his ancestors were. So it tells us that. And then it goes on, and it says that Jacob, the father of Joseph, the husband of Mary. So I skipped a bunch, by the way, going right to the end of this section. And Mary was the mother of Jesus, who is called the Messiah. So there we have Jesus in this genealogy. If you look at the list of who's in there, and I think this is an important point that we can't just pass over too quickly. The men and women that are there are broken, flawed people. The stories, God didn't choose a family tree that said, well, these are just rock star spiritual giants. They're messed up, every single one of them in some degree. And then the other unique thing that stands out in this genealogy is that women are actually included, because typically in a patriarchal society, they just mention the men, even though there's no more men if there's no more women, right? But the men are always mentioned. The women are pretty much left off the list, but Matthew includes the number of women. And one of the things that we're going to do in this series Actually, what we are going to do is not one of the things. We're going to look at 4 women, one each week, in this genealogy. Now, here's the other unconventional, not only including women in the genealogy, here's the other unconventional thing. All 4 of the women are not Jewish. They're not Israelites. You got to be kidding me. The line of the Messiah? Because Israelites were only supposed to marry Israelites, and so why do we get all these, how do these foreigners end up being in this list? And then of the 4 women that we're going to look at, 3 of them were really broken people when we encounter them. And so next week, for example, we're going to look at Rahab. And some of these next messages are kind of bordering on PG-13 as we tell the story, because Rahab was a prostitute in the list of the genealogy of Jesus. Well, the one that we're going to look at today, I think, personally, in my opinion, when I look at the whole list, is probably the most outstanding person on this list, because you can't find one thing anywhere in Scripture that's negative about her. If there's anyone that lived above kind of an exemplary life, it's the person we're looking at today, and that person's name is Ruth. But before we get there, we're going to just take a moment to receive our offering now, and then we'll dive into the story of Ruth. So on the screen here, if you've joined us from home today or wherever you are, we just want to say thank you for partnering with us. This is one of the greatest privileges that we have, which is to come together collectively and pool our resources to see what God would do with them. And we know the 30-some-year history of Kensington, God has done an awful lot, and that doesn't happen without all of us participating. So if you're here with us today, if you want to give an offering today, you can do it on your way out. There's a bucket in the back. If you prefer, you can see on the screen all the ways that we've made it easy for us to contribute through our website or through the app or through texting. So thank you again for making all of this possible. All right, so let's talk about Ruth today. As I said, I think she's the most extraordinary person on the list. There is a book in the Old Testament about her. Anybody guess what the name is? Wow, you're so brilliant. Just brilliant people. So it's a 4-chapter book, and we're going to dive into the story about her. And this is where we see her show up in Matthew chapter 1. So we didn't get this far in the story when I left off, but it says, Salmon, the father of Boaz, whose mother was Rahab, Boaz, the father of Obed, whose mother was Ruth. So there she is. So what about Ruth? Well, I want to tell you 2 things about her before I tell you the story that I believe are true about her that makes her worth the 30 minutes that we're going to talk about her today. Something we can learn and benefit from her. The first thing is that, as you'll see as the story unfolds, and maybe some of you are not familiar with the story, but she possessed this amazing, deep love, and because of that love for someone, sense of absolute commitment to somebody at great sacrifice. And that inspires me. I hope it inspires you today. And then the second thing about her is the statement is made about her, she didn't make it herself, that she was of an impeccable reputation in her community. Like, there was nothing, that people could not find fault with her. She was an amazing person with amazing character. So let's see where we see these 2 things in the story. So there was a couple, by the way, 4 chapters. You can read it in about 20 minutes. I would encourage you sometime today, or maybe you're going to spend all day celebrating the 4th of July, sometime the next day or 2, please read the whole story. I'm going to kind of take the high view so we can drill down a couple places and really see what's there for us. But I'm going to summarize the story. So here's where I would begin. There was a woman named Naomi who married a man named Elimelech. I better actually read it. I say it wrong every time. Elimelech. I think I said it wrong again. I'm going to give up trying. But Naomi's easy. They had 2 sons. I'm not even going to try their names. Aren't those names in the Old Testament hard sometimes? So they get married. They have 2 sons. They're living in Bethlehem. And a famine hits. And there's no food. Seems like that pops up every now and then in the Old Testament as well, doesn't it? So they traveled to a foreign land called Moab. And you can see on the map on the screen, just to get perspective, they probably traveled only about 50 miles. The part that's in the bright color there is where Moab is. You can see where Bethlehem is, just to the northwest of that. So they have to pack everything up, and they have to go into another country because there's food there. Why there's a famine in Israel and not that close by, I don't know, but that's where they traveled to find food just to kind of save their lives. So they take off. Now, if you can just use your imagination with me for a minute. Imagine this young girl, probably a teenager, living in Moab. She's a Moabite. By the way, as an aside, I just have to say, like Moab, people live there are called Moabites. Why do people that live in Michigan, why are we Michiganders? Do you know how much grief I've gotten in New York? People make fun of me. They laugh at me. You're from Michigan? Oh, you're a Michigander. And then they'll say things like, where did the D come from? Like you could be a Michiganer or Michiganite or whatever. Where did the D come from? Does anybody know where the D came from? No, it's not from Detroit. I did this in the first service, and two guys came up after independently and said the same thing. Abraham Lincoln gave that name to us in a political debate as a term of derision because Cass, who was from Michigan, was an opponent of Lincoln, and he said, you know what, people from Michigan just follow anyone, and there's a lot of geese up here, like a gander, and ganders will just follow. So that's a negative term, and Governor Whitmer needs to stop saying it because he says it every time I hear her. Michiganders. So can we... I got way off track here, by the way. Hope you know that. It's not in my notes, but I have to tell you. So why don't we as Kensington start a movement that we're going to take the D out of it, right? And just be Michiganders. So there we go. All right, so back to Ruth. Try to picture her as a teenager. Like all teenagers, I think, all of life ahead, hopes, expectations for a good life. For her, that would probably mean in her culture that she's going to get married, she's going to have a family. So thoughts of love and relationship are in the future. And she's there just waiting for this to unfold as she grows older. And then here this other family is moving up, or moving down from Israel down to Moab. And this family coming is going to change her life. And it's going to change a lot of people's lives. It's going to lead all the way up to the Messiah who's going to come. And all these years later, someone in a place called Michigan, where Michiganders live, are talking about her life and her story. What an extraordinary thing that's about to happen to her. Well, tragically, Elimelech, I finally got the name right, Elimelech dies. So Naomi is left with two sons in a foreign land. Culture's different, language is different, food is different, everything's unfamiliar. She's probably lonely for her family back home. Her husband is dead. Now she's here with her two sons. Then her two sons go and do something. The Bible makes no commentary on this. In Ruth, it just tells us the fact that the two sons married Moabite women, which, by the way, was not in accordance with the law of Israel. You don't marry foreigners. You only marry within Israel. So probably without a husband there, and the sons are now of marrying age, where are they going to find wives? They find wives around them, so they marry Moabite women. And then, tragically, both sons die. Here's what, in a very matter-of-fact way, we're told in Ruth. And Naomi was left without her two sons and her husband. Now, that's a short statement that would be so easy just to blow by. Can we take a moment just to try to live in that reality for her? What was that like? Many of us here have suffered loss of loved ones. We know how painful that is. But she's in a foreign land, foreign place, unfamiliar, and she's lost everyone that came with her. She's alone. What was she thinking and feeling? What would that be like for her? And now she has two daughters-in-law who aren't Israelites. They're not Jewish. They're Moabites. And so she's really obviously Naomi has come into a very, very hard place. She's suffering, as we'll see. Then about 10 years into this whole journey, the famine is over, and so she decides it's time to go home. So she's going to head back to Israel, into Bethlehem. Well, what do you do with two daughters-in-law who are Moabites? Well, this is what she did. She said, it's better if you stay here. You're young. You need to get remarried. You need to find husbands from Moab. So you can't come back with me. I'm going to go. So they have a debate. They have a discussion about this. And eventually, she gets ready. She gets packed, ready to go. And we're told that it was a very painful parting. At this point, in chapter 1, verse 14, they wept aloud again. Then Orpah, the one daughter-in-law, kissed her mother-in-law goodbye. So she's leaving, but Ruth clung to her. So Naomi tries again. She says, you need to stay here. You can't come with me. You need to just let me go. Let me go home to my people. You stay here. You'll get a husband here. You'll settle down here. This is your language, your culture, your religion. And then these words, which are fairly well known, they're very powerful. words. This is Ruth speaking to her mother-in-law. She says, "Don't urge me to leave you or to turn back from you. Where you go, I will go. Where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people. Your God will be my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. May the Lord deal with me, be it ever so severely, if even death separates you and me." And when Naomi realized that Ruth was determined to go with her, she stopped urging her. You know, every time I read those words or hear those words, there's some longing that is evoked in my heart. I don't know if you felt it as I was reading them. It's like that level of commitment to someone that says, I'm all in with you. And Ruth is saying to Naomi, different cultures, different language, different religions, she's saying, I'm all in with you. I'm going to go where you're going to go. I'm going to stay where you're going to stay. Your God is going to become my God, and I'm going to live there right until the point I die. And let God deal with me severely if I ever walk out of this commitment I'm making to you right now. I'm making this rock-solid commitment. We don't hear that very much. Or we hear it, but it's hard for us to follow through with this. But Ruth was totally all in. She says, I'm not going to let you go by yourself. In all of her pain and misery, to let her walk off by herself and be alone and to go home. I find this absolutely extraordinary. I want to be that kind of person, by the way, that when I make a commitment, I make it a commitment and I'm all in. And that person knows that I'm all in. And I know over the years that I've failed that in many, many times. But buried in this narrative, although I should actually say I don't think it's buried, I actually think it's as plain as day. I just never really noticed it before. Going back now to Naomi, imagine her in some evening, the sun is setting, and she's looking around and her husband's not there. He's buried. And her two sons are not there. They're buried. I wonder how she's doing with God. And I'm just going to tell you, we're going to go into a little bit of pain here now as we talk about this, because it's in the text. This woman's in a lot of pain. And she just wants to go off by herself and leave her two daughters-in-law, but Ruth's going to hang with her. Well, the five things that Naomi says in Ruth chapter 1 tell us clearly the state of her soul. And Ruth heard all of these things. She knew where her mother-in-law was at with God. And I'm going to put them up on the screen so you can see them all at the same time. She says, first of all, it is more bitter for me than for you because the Lord's hand has turned against me. All right, just consider that. Where is she with God? He's turned against me. You know, a couple weeks ago, we sang this amazing song here, maybe it was last week. He is for you, he is for you, he is for you. I love that refrain. I came up and talked about it. God is for us. She says, he's turned against me. God is against me. And then she says, don't call me Naomi. Call me Mara, because the Almighty has made my life very bitter. I'll come back to Mara in just a minute. The Almighty has made my life bitter. Then she says, I went away full from Bethlehem originally to Moab, but the Lord has brought me back empty. So why call me Naomi? And then she says, the Lord has afflicted me. And then finally, the Almighty has brought misfortune upon me. So how's she doing with God? God is against me. He's caused the death of my husband and my sons. And so I'm bitter and I'm empty. There's no faith here at all. Her words reflect the common theology of a Jewish person at that time. And that theology, by the way, is alive and well today in America, in Christianity. And the theology goes something like this: whatever happens is God's will. And especially in Israel thought, if calamity comes, it's because you deserve it. So not only do you have all this loss, but it's your fault. And God is doing this to you. That's her current state. And I know right now, here or online, listening online, there are some Naomis, men or women, that's where you are right now. Maybe you're not verbalizing it. You're barely hanging on. You showed up today, but you're not sure about all of this because of what you've lost. And somewhere in all of the theology and talking about this, we hear things like, well, God gave me cancer. Or God took my child to leukemia. Or God took my job away from me, caused me to lose my house. God caused me to have this circumstance, my spouse to be unfaithful, or for my friend to turn against me. Because God is in control, we say, and God is good all the time, and he always knows what he's doing. So we say these things, which I believe are actually true, but we make God then the cause of every bad thing that happens. And that was Naomi's thought about God. So when she looked around every day, alone and lonely, and having lost everyone that she loved, and then she looked up to God, she put the two together and said, God, you did this. So she's in a world of hurt with no way out. But there's a way out, as we'll see. You know what the way out was? One word. It's Ruth. Ruth was God's provision, I believe, to Naomi to find her way out and find her way back to God. And this is what makes Ruth so extraordinary, because not only is she not Jewish, she's got a woman who's bitter against her God, and yet she still said to Naomi, your God will be my God. And so let's see how this unfolds and see what it might mean for us today. I think that this theology that I've referenced is dangerous because it makes God the cause of everything bad that happens. And how can you find hope and comfort and love in someone who's doing this to you? And I know some people believe that and hold on to it, and they say, well, listen, God is sovereign over everything, so everything that happens must be his will. You know how I can disprove that simply, and no one will disagree with me? You might disagree with me about other things I'm going to say today, but you can't disagree with this. Has anyone here ever sinned? You don't have to raise your hand, because if you don't, then I'm going to call you out, right? So we're all sinners. Some of you have already sinned 50 times today. You got off to a good start, okay? Is it God's will that you sin? Yes or no? Oh, so things can happen that aren't God's will. Now, I can take that and extrapolate it out, but that's another message. I simply want to leave this out here for you right now. And I'm talking to the Naomis right now in the room and online. You're in pain. And I want to say I'm really sorry for the pain you're in. Whatever it is, it's loss of some sort, it's grief, it's hurt, it's harm, and all that's brought. And you're not sure about God. I want to tell you that God is not causing that. He's not responsible for it. Oh, I know you could say, well, he's God, he could stop it. Yeah, and if he stopped it, he'd stopped everything. We live in perfection. And then the whole story from Genesis on of the fall and the brokenness would not be true. He's going to redeem it all one day. Revelation says, no more pain, no more sorrow, no more tears. That's coming. But right now, we're in the midst of a broken world. And when the calamity comes, which it does for all of us, and if you're not a Naomi, and you never have been, you will be if you live long enough. You will suffer something where you will ask the question of God, why? In the theology of their day, the way they answered the question why was they would say, well, God's got something in it. He did it. Either he's punishing you or he's going to redeem something bigger. I mean, I've actually, as a pastor, had to sit in rooms and hear people say, God took your child because it was time he wanted him or her in heaven, but God's going to do something good out of this, and that's why he caused your child to die. And I thought, that person's going to have so long of a journey to get out of that. Because as much as you maybe want to accept it because you think you have to, because you think the Bible teaches that, God becomes the villain in this story. Why would he inflict this kind of pain on me? And then, as I said, what makes it worse is that in some theologies, in the book of Job demonstrates this, where Job's friends were silent for a while when he lost everything, and then began to tell him, you must have done something really wrong for God to have done this to you. This idea has existed forever, that God works this way in the world. And I just have to tell you, I absolutely do not believe that that's true. I don't believe God is causing this. So let's talk about Naomi changing her name. She said, don't call me Naomi. Imagine this is the depth of her bitterness and her cynicism and her disillusionment that she has with God. Because the name Naomi means good or pleasant. The name Mara means bitter. So when she finally gets back to Bethlehem with Ruth in tow, and they start saying, Naomi, you're back, Naomi. She said, don't call me that. Call me Mara. Call me bitter. That's my new name. Just call me bitter. That's how far down she's sunk. By the way, if any of you are named Mara, or you've named a daughter Mara, I have some really good news for you. The Hebrew for Mara is bitter, but the Greek for Mara actually means exceptionally beautiful. So Mara, if you're listening to me, you are exceptionally beautiful. It's a really, absolutely wonderful name. So how is Naomi ever going to get out of this mess that she's in, this brokenness? And as I already said, the answer, I believe, is Ruth, because her commitment, I'm going to be with you, I'm going to go with you. I'm going to stay with you. I will never abandon you until the very day one of us dies. And then I want to be buried next to you. Imagine what those words were like to Naomi's ears as she walked the long walk, 50 miles or more, back to Bethlehem with Ruth with her. I'm not alone. I don't know that I have God, but I have this amazing, exceptional woman who said, the God you're bitter against, he's my God now. And I believe that God used Ruth to restore Naomi. Now, this is how he did it. And this is where I can't go into detail. If you know the story of Ruth, you already know what happens here. And this is usually where we focus in this story. But I decided to focus on chapter 1 in Naomi's restoration because Ruth played the key role in it. So when you lost, when a woman was widowed without any children, the Jewish law provided a way for her to have an heir. And the way it was is you find the dead husband's closest relative, and he will marry you, and then you will have children, and then your lineage continues. So when they get back to Bethlehem, they're very poor. They have no food even though the famine's up, they don't have a job, they don't have husbands. And so Ruth begins to go out in the field and go after the harvesters and pick up whatever grain is left over and bring it home so they can have some flour so they can eat. The field was owned by a man named Boaz. He noticed this young woman working so diligently, so he inquired, who is she? Oh, she's a Midianite. And you got the whole story about the death of Naomi's husband and 2 sons, and here she is. And he was like, well, she's extraordinary. And then he actually gave instructions, don't bother her, let her harvest as much as she wants. And then at some point, Ruth goes to him and creates a scenario where he might be the one that would redeem her because he was related to her dead father-in-law. So now there's a provision possibly if Boaz says yes. Well, why would Boaz say yes to a Midianite woman? Well, this is the other thing that we're told about Ruth, which I mentioned, which I think makes her so extraordinary. He said, all the people of my town know that you are a woman of noble character. Think about that. Foreign woman comes in, not been there very long, and the town is abuzz about this woman of noble character. And so he redeems her, he marries her, and then the scripture tells us that Boaz took Ruth and she became his wife. When he made love to her, the Lord enabled her to conceive, and she gave birth to a son. Naomi's still here, and all this is going on. Now the whole family is brought into this very wealthy farmer's home, and they're provided for. So maybe things are beginning to turn. Maybe God isn't against her. Maybe God really is for her. Maybe she just experienced the tragedies of life that we all face. Maybe there's some hope that's beginning to come. And in fact, in chapter 4, the women gather around Naomi, and this is what they say to her. Praise be to the Lord, who this day has not left you without a guardian redeemer. That's Boaz. May he become famous throughout Israel. He will renew your life and sustain you in your old age. For your daughter-in-law, who loves you and who is better to you than 7 sons, has given him birth. So things have changed for her. Now, what does this story mean for us today? I'm going to offer 2 challenges today for you to think about and consider. First, I'll talk to the Naomis, then I'll talk to the Ruths in the room. If you're Naomi, my prayer for you is that God brings a Ruth into your life. If you're Naomi, be honest. Don't pretend. Ask God the questions why. Speak it to your friends. Say, I'm confused. I don't get this. I feel God has turned against me. I don't even know if I believe anymore. If that's what you're feeling in your heart and mind, then be honest with it. Embrace it. Tell people. But pray that God will bring a Ruth into your life that you can boot off her faith, because that's what Naomi did. When she had no faith, she had someone clinging to her, or she clung to, who helped her take those steps, keep moving forward, not give up to total despair. Believe that there might be a future ahead yet, and especially to separate these events from God. That God is not mad at you. He's not angry. He's not punishing you. He doesn't have some higher purpose, although God does work through our tragedies to bring greater things. He could do it another way. He didn't have to kill someone to bring about something good. And we got to stop thinking that way. We need people in our lives who will tell us that, who will remind us of that. I've had, as I review the years of my life, even though I have lived, most of my life in ministry as a pastor, I've stood on this stage sometimes, or stages or platforms, and preached when I had almost nothing inside of me. The tank was empty. And I was asking God the why questions, and I was disillusioned like Naomi. And when I look back at those times in my life, I can see, I didn't know it, but I had Ruths in my life at that time, where I could call and I could talk to and I could just be with. And most of them were wise enough to try to tell me that I should be thinking different. They weren't quoting verses at me. God works everything together for good. They weren't doing that. They were letting me be in the reality of my pain and my suffering and their presence with me. They walked with me from Moab to Bethlehem and stayed with me, and I knew they were going to be with me, and they would let me complain and argue and be mad and frustrated and just talk all this garbage out loud and everything, all my pain, and be there with me. And so Naomi's, men and women, you need to find who those people are in your life, and you need to be with them and be honest with them. Because God made us for that. If this doesn't happen, if Ruth does not go with Naomi, Naomi goes back and they say to her, yeah, you lost your husband and sons because God's punishing you. And her name is no longer Naomi, it's Mara. And of course it's Mara. Why would you not be bitter? And by the way, if you're looking for things you've done wrong where God might want to punish you for, none of us have to look very far, if that's how this world works. But could grace and mercy really be true? Could the story of Jesus really be true? That even in our brokenness and our worst moments, God doesn't say, I'm going to get you for that. He's saying, I'm here with you. I'm here for you. Don't turn against me. You need me. Cling to me. Let me comfort you, help you, strengthen you. And usually, most of the time, we can't do that without a Ruth next to us, around us to do that. So Naomi's, I'm praying, God, right now, I pray right now that if there are Naomi's listening to my voice, who are in that moment barely hanging on by a thread, not sure what they believe anymore, not sure God is even real, if he's even good. God, please bring a Ruth into the life of Naomi's. And then I want to talk to the Ruths for a moment. And all of us will be both. We should be both in our journey. If you have someone in your life that suffered loss, you know is in pain, maybe it's getting hard to make the call because every time it's just negative. And I've been a Ruth before with people where sometimes when I hang up or I'm done, I just like, their pain is pulling me down, I feel. And I don't have answers. I don't know what to say. We need to step and make that commitment just to be with and to walk through life's journey with them in this dark valley of the shadow of death that they might be in, where they're asking the hard questions and they're struggling and they don't want to read their Bible and they don't even want to come to church. Drag them to church with you. Take them out to lunch after and sit and let them talk through what's going on. This story of Ruth, for the first time, all the years reading it, I see this beautiful relationship of someone in deep need, having suffered deep loss, and someone very unexpected to be the person to help walk with them and pull them out. I believe that's how God has designed this to work. And so Ruth's, let's step up to the challenge. If there's someone in your life, make the call, make the appointment, talk with them, stay with them. Don't worry about having the answers. That's not your role. To have the answers. Your role is to be with them. For this person, for a Naomi to hear someone say to them, oh, I'm not leaving you. Where you go, I'm going to go. Where you stay, I'm going to stay. Your God that you don't even believe in right now, he's my God. And I'm going to help you believe again. And I'm going to stay with you right to the end. I'm not going to give up on you. And that is such a beautiful thing. And that's what restores. Naomi doesn't get out of this without Ruth. So let's be Ruth, okay? In fact, I'm going to invite the band to come up. I'm going to pray for the Naomis right now. If you're in a bad place with God right now, I'm going to pray that God's Spirit has planted some seeds of hope in you right now. But these songs, as we turn our attention to Jesus, because the genealogy that has Ruth in it keeps going until Jesus, the Messiah, shows up. And the Messiah, if you have any doubt whether God's for you or not, look at Jesus. Because he said, I'm taking all your brokenness and all your pain and all your suffering on myself. I am for you. God is sorry for the pain that we're in. He doesn't inflict it. He's broken by it. Jesus wept at the tomb of Lazarus. He didn't quote some verses and say, this was God's will that he die. He saw Mary and Martha's pain and he wept with them. And then, of course, he brought Lazarus from the dead. But God is for us and he's with us in our pain. He didn't cause it. And Ruth helped Naomi see that. So God, I lift up to you right now all the Naomis, the men and women, the young people who are confused about life because they expected one thing and another thing came and it's just been hard and they're not sure about you. Could you, even in these moments where we direct our hearts and our voices to you, help us really deeply believe that you are for us and that you love us and that you are faithful, always faithful. And God, I pray for all of us, when the time is right, to step up and be a Ruth to a Naomi, to be with him or her, to commit, to love, to be patient, and to walk every step with them. Help in these moments now to lift us to you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Beginning, you doesn't make sense, will never comprehend the way you love us. Unthinkable, heaven knows just how far you go to say you love us, to say you love us, to say you love
faithful through the ages. God of Abraham, you're the God of covenant and faithful promises. Time and time again, you have proven you'll do just what you say. Though the storms may come and the winds may blow, I'll remain steadfast and let my heart learn when you speak a word, it will come to pass. Great
is your faithfulness to me.
Sing great
is your faithfulness to me.
from the
The rising sun to the setting sun, I will praise your name. Great is your faithfulness to me.
Though the seasons change, you remain the same. God, from age to age, though the earth may pass away, your word remains the same. History can prove that there's nothing you can do. You're faithful and true. Though the storms may come and the winds may blow, I'll remain steadfast and let my heart learn when you speak a word, it will come to pass. Great is your faithfulness to me. Great is your faithfulness from the rising sun.
Rising sun to the setting sun, I will praise your
Great is your faithfulness.
faithfulness to me. Your faithfulness, it never runs out.
Never runs out.
It never runs out.
Never runs out.
Oh, your faithfulness, it never runs out.
Never runs out.
It never runs out. I put my faith in Jesus, my anchor to the ground, my hope in my salvation. He'll never let
You believe that? Let's sing that together. I'll put my faith.
I put my faith in Jesus, my anchor to the ground, my hope in the salvation. He'll never let me down. I'll put my faith in Jesus, my anchor to the
my hope and firm foundation. He'll never let me down. I'll put my faith in Jesus, my anchor to the ground, my hope and firm foundation. He'll never let me down. I'll put
my faith in Jesus.
He's my anchor in the
My
ground.
anchor to the ground.
You're my hope and firm
My
foundation.
hope and firm foundation.
He'll never, never,
He'll never let me down. I'll put my faith in Jesus.
my anchor,
My anchor to the ground.
my hope.
My hope and firm foundation. He'll never let
Sing it up,
me
I'll
down.
put my faith.
I'll put my faith in Jesus.
My
anchor to the ground. My hope and firm foundation.
He'll never,
He'll never let
one
me
more time, I'll
down.
put my faith.
Put my faith in Jesus, my anchor to the ground, my hope and firm foundation. He'll never let me down. Great is your faithfulness to me.
Great
Is your faithfulness to
from the rising sun.
rising sun to the setting sun, I will praise. From the rising sun to the setting sun, I will praise.
From the
Rising sun to the
You're always there,
setting
you remain the
sun,
same. So I'll praise your name. Great
is your faithfulness to me.
we sing, great is your faithfulness to me. Great is your faithfulness to me. From the rising sun to the setting same, I will praise your name. From the rising sun to the setting same, I will praise your name. From the rising sun to the setting same, I will praise your name. And great is your faithfulness to me.
So Ruth had a baby boy, named him Obed. He grew up, got married. He had a son, and they named him Jesse. And Jesse grew up, got married, had a son, and he named him David, who became the king. And so on, until Joseph married Mary, and they had a son. And they named him Jesus, the one we've just been singing about, the Messiah, the anchor to the ground for us, the one who is faithful. As we were singing those words, the verse came to mind when Paul wrote a letter to the churches in Rome in the first century. He said, we asked a question, he said, if God is for us, who can be against us? If this God who did not even spare his own son for us, how will he also not along with him freely give us all things? God is for us to give us, not to take. God is not taker, he's a giver. I hope you can go out in that truth today, even if you only feel it this much. Maybe there's some seeds were planted today to give you hope. We have the opportunity now as the pandemic has lessened to offer prayer down front. So if you need a Ruth just to pray with you, or just to share a little bit with, we have people down front or back in the lobby near the hub. You can also get prayer there. We'd love for you to do that. And my prayer this week is that if you're Naomi, that you would find some hope and comfort this week, that God is for you, and that if, as Ruth, we have the opportunity, we'll step into someone's pain with them and bear it with them and walk that journey so they can find hope in God again. All right, God bless. Next week we get Rahab, so please come back. Women rule this month, okay? God bless.